Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Scott Wurzbacher, and today we're going to stand on the crater rim as we look down into the fascinating world of volcanoes. Think about it, a mountain with a fire burning inside of it. What an incredible metaphor for the campfire within each one of us. Our guest today is Ricardo Kaljouw from the Netherlands, and he is the first Dutchman to climb all 7 volcanic summits. Ricardo's love for volcanoes began on the slopes of Mount Kilimanjaro during a break from his career in the Royal Navy. That spark turned into a mission, and over the next decade, he completed this extraordinary challenge. Ricardo has always been driven by ambition, starting with bold adventures in the Navy. As his journey unfolded, he discovered his own inner fire, mirroring the fiery heart of the mountains he set out to conquer. I am so thrilled to share Ricardo's inspiring story of passion, perseverance, and the power of following your inner flame. Ricardo, welcome to the campfire.
Thank you, Scott, for having me.
Man, I'm so excited. Okay, so you and I, we just met maybe a month or so ago, and I had a chance to read your book, A Million Steps on Lava, which is about your journey conquering the 7 summits. And there's just so much that I love about this. And I love that actually starts talking about your time in the Royal Navy and then goes on to talk about your journey in climbing these mountains. So cool. I'm so psyched to be able to talk to you. And, you know, I got a chance to get to know you through reading the book, but now I get to share this story with listeners. So let's just jump in. For those that might not be familiar, can you tell us what it means to complete the volcanic 7 summits?
Oh, yeah. Well, like you said already in the intro, it took me a decade to complete this. So it has been something that I have been carrying with me for, a very long time in my life. And every time when I went through the stages of, let's say, getting 1 volcano, 2 volcanoes, 3, 4, 5, 6, I came to the end. There was also some pressure was on me because I was the first person from the Netherlands to even try to do this. And after I completed it, which was this January and from Antarctica, first of all, I was relieved it was over. In some way, sounds weird, relieved that the pressure was gone. But I also look back at myself and I could not believe that I went in 10 years from not knowing what to do in mountaineering or being from, outdoors to doing these kind of expeditions and completing them even. So I went through a long journey of 10 years of understanding myself better, understanding the world better, cultures better, you name it. And I became a stronger person physically, mentally, and emotionally even. So it's a very big thing that I carry with me, and I'm proud of it that I ever done it.
Yeah, it's an amazing adventure. And, you know, I mean, just the way your story starts in the Royal Navy, I mean, you've got to be a strong person just for that and some of the stories that you shared. And I actually would love to touch on a couple of those. Before we go there, can you tell us, and then later we'll come through in a little bit more detail, but what are the 7 volcanic summits and where are they?
Yeah, so they are derived from the original 7 Summits challenge that a lot of mountaineers know. But somewhere in the end of the beginning of 2000s, somebody came up with the idea, why is there not a volcanic version of this? And by exploring, of course, which volcanoes are linked with this challenge, it took around, I think it was almost 12 years or 13 years before anybody ever achieved it, which was the first time in 2011. So It's a quite new challenge.
Yeah.
It's pretty new, yes. Yeah. And so there are not a lot of people who have done it. Around 50 people in the world have ever done it. It's getting more popular. But I think it came out of curiosity that, yes, the 7 summits exist. And a lot of the mountaineers, they focus only solely on that. But I think in the mountaineering world, it's also nice to see other challenges.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of those, was for me the volcanoes. And it came on my path just pretty lucky. And it was my goal in mountaineering eventually.
I love it. So can you run through the 7 volcanic summits for us?
Okay. Yeah, I know them out of my head. So should we go from highest to lowest, or from lowest to highest? Or
let's go in order of the ones that you did.
Orders I did. Okay, so my journey, as you mentioned in the intro, for a lot of mountaineers, it was Kilimanjaro for me.
Yep.
And Kilimanjaro is also part of the 7 summits itself.
Yep.
So it's a very known volcano. Interesting fact is that Kilimanjaro is the highest volcano outside of the Americas. So
Okay.
Really unique, high volcano. And then another one is very common one that everybody knows in the mountaineering sport is Elbrus.
Yep.
Which is also part of the 7 summits. But from that point, my road started to derail to somewhere else. And after that, I went to Asia, to Iran. So a mysterious country, of course, it's some people say it's difficult to get into, and what can you expect? And they have a beautiful volcano over there, and it's called Damavand. And then we have, of course, some other continents. We have North America, and over there we have Pico de Orizaba. It's a very high volcano.
That's South America?
Yeah, well, that was South America we have. And over there, if you talk about mountaineering, if you want to go for big mountains, you are going to go mostly in really big mountains. You're going to land eventually in Asia.
Okay.
And Himalaya and all the others. But if you love volcanoes, you have to go to South America.
Yeah.
There are the big ones. There are the 6,000 ones, almost 7,000 meter ones. And the highest of them all is in the border of Chile and Argentina, and it's called Ojos del Salado.
Okay.
And it's almost standing at 7,000 meters. Then we still have 2 other continents left, and those are maybe the most who are less explored. And one of them is always a debate. That's Oceania, we call it. Sometimes Australasia, Australia, you name it. But in the mountaineering sport, it's mostly Oceania. And there in Papua New Guinea, you have a volcano over there, and it's called Gilwe. And it's totally different from all the other volcanoes, because this one is, on the equator, and it doesn't have a glacier or snow or anything. But what it does have is a very lush tropical jungle surrounding it.
Cool.
So very, very unique climb. And then the last and maybe the most mysterious continent that we have is, of course, Antarctica. And over there you have a volcano which is so isolated and so, difficult to get to, that currently only around 100 people ever been there. It's the lowest of them all, but it is 4,000 meters high, 4,200. But the conditions over there are totally different from anything else.
Of course, you're in Antarctica. Yeah.
And the name of it is Mount Sidley.
Mount Sidley. Okay, great.
And those are the 7 candidates that you have to climb for the volcanic 7 summits.
So I think you said, I want to just clarify, the one in North America, is that a volcano in Mexico?
Yeah, it's in Mexico. Yes.
And what was the name of that one?
Pico de Orizaba.
Okay, got it. All right, and then the one in South America was the Ojos
del Salado. Yes.
Del Salado. There you go. Okay, got it. Very cool. All right. Okay, so now we know the 7 volcanic summits, and we'll come back to those a little bit and hear a little bit more from you about maybe some fun stories on some of those. But I guess I'm just curious, why volcanoes? What is different about climbing a volcano, and what is it that kind of got you going when you started doing this volcanic summit?
Yeah, I understand. It's a regular question that I get. What is the difference between mountain climbing and volcano climbing? Let me first emphasize this. Of course, you don't have the 8,000 meter peaks. So you don't have the extreme altitude you have. However, though, all the dangers that you can occur in mountaineering, you can also get them in volcano climbing, especially on the high ones who have glaciers, crevasses, rockfall, avalanches, you name it. So it's those differences are not there. However, though, there is for some other volcanoes, there is differences which are that they are thermally active or sometimes even active.
Yeah.
And I climbed more volcanoes than only this 7 on the list. Currently, I climbed around 50 volcanoes around the world. So everywhere, and climbed active ones. And why I want to do it, and the difference is first of all, you feel sometimes even when you're on an active volcano, you can feel the rumbling, underneath your feet. Wow. And it gives you the feeling that you are climbing like a mythological beast. Wow. Something like that. It's like an organism. It breathes.
It feels like it's alive.
It snores. It breathes. It rumbles. It does that kind of things. It almost feels like they have their own character, their own emotion in some way. And a lot of the volcanoes, they have beautiful stories linked to them. They have mythological, gods that are connected with them in the Aztecs and the Mayas and the Incas, and also in the Americas. They have all these kind of beautiful stories that are linked to it. And that is also something that I'm very interested in, to see the human connection between volcanoes and people. They are the bringer of life, but also the destroyer. And that is something that I love about it.
Yeah. I love that. It's so cool. Like, when did you, do you remember when you sort of first felt that feeling or that sort of connectedness to a volcano?
Yeah, 100%. The first time, so it's like 2 steps. The first step was when I went to Kilimanjaro out of curiosity to see if my body could react on altitude. Yeah, I wanted to go there. What is going to happen? I had the most beautiful sunrise I could ever imagine over there, because it's a freestanding volcano. Yeah. Very high, I could look so far away. But after that, I fell in love a little bit with Africa. I still have some, I love it. And I decided to go to a region which maybe you should not go. And that is the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay.
I went over there, and over there you have a volcano, and it's called Nyiragongo. One of the most active volcanoes in Africa, and one of the, I think, eight volcanoes in the world who have a lava lake. But this one has the biggest lava lake of them all.
Wow.
And you have to go through a region that is unfortunately very unstable. And there have been several wars, Rwanda with the genocide, the Congo and everything. There's a lot of things going on there still until today. So you don't feel particularly safe. But I took the chance to go there. And that was really the moment that my fire, like you mentioned, ignited. Because I had the chance to climb this volcano and sleep on the crater rim. Just during the day, it's already amazing to see the lava lake just underneath you bubbling, and just these plates going in and out. But it really comes alive in the night.
Yes.
In the night, this red glow starts to come up. And it's just this big pillar of red just going up into the sky. And I was like a moth to the flame when I was there. Everybody went to sleep. I didn't. I stayed up all the night. I knew that I at that moment, I didn't know if I ever will see something like that again. I took the moment. And I stayed there all the night just looking at the lava. And something inside of me said, yeah, volcanoes. And like I said, there's so much connection with humans, with life. And I thought, I need to know more about this. Yeah. Not knowing that I was going to do the volcanic 7 summits. No, that came at a way later stage. Yeah. But it was curiosity. It was a fire of curiosity. I wanted to see volcanoes with ice. I wanted to see really high volcanoes somewhere. I wanted to ice climb somewhere, volcanoes, you name it. And Nyiragongo is for me the moment where it started.
And that was after Kilimanjaro, right?
Yeah, 1 year later. Yeah.
You know, I have to say, when I first started this podcast, I used to ask almost everybody about one of my favorite words, and that word is awe. the definition that I love for that word is a reverential respect mixed with fear and wonder.
Mm.
And I think that like a volcano and that like you looking at that lava and it kind of like embodies what awe is all about, because it's like this great respect, but there's also like you have to have a healthy fear. I mean, it's like liquid, earth. It's like molten lava.
It brings you back. It brings you back to your place on this earth. It shows you the raw power that is underneath our feet.
Yeah.
It shows mechanisms that are going on for eons already, for so long. Literally, like creation of the earth. You're looking at it, and it is a force that you cannot even imagine, and it makes you feel really small.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, the idea that this is kind of what's bubbling at the core of the earth, and these are sort of like the little portals to that, right? It's amazing. I got a chance to visit Volcanoes National Park in Hawaii many years ago, and I'll never forget like hiking along some areas where there had been like lava flows, but there was still like active, I guess, flow underneath what I was walking on. And you had to be very careful because you'd start hearing this like popping sound, and all of a sudden you'd look and there'd just be like this little ooze of lava that would come up. And exactly what you said, in the daytime, it was cool. It was like this fluid that would come up. But when the sun went down and you could actually see the glow of the red, it's frightening. I mean, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. Okay. My geek is going to come out, but like, there's parts in that movie where they're like, fighting on these different planets with the lava. And it's just like, it's otherworldly. It's just, so I can't, like, you explaining your experience on that volcano in the Congo, like, wow, that must've just been like mystifying.
I had several similar experiences, but still, because of the gravity of how big that lava lake was, so all the lava that I saw, was something that really struck me. And especially, and still I carry it with me, is that not a couple of years later, it erupted. So, and I know people who were there, even during the eruption, who did exactly the same thing. So, but then that does bring you a little bit back to understanding that you always have to be very careful when you do these things. It can look safe. Yes, it can. But sometimes it can go absolutely wrong.
So I'm curious, like specifically with regards to the things that make a volcano unique, the lava, the smoke, the fire, the gases, like any sort of close calls that you've had in these experiences that you could tell us about?
No. I've seen eruptions. I've seen eruptions in Iceland, in Guatemala, in Congo. I've seen them in Spain. I've seen in some other regions. But one of them could have been a close call, and it's at one of the most active volcanoes here in Europe, and it's a famous one. It's Mount Etna in Italy. I was supposed to climb it, and a lot of climbers are stubborn beings also sometimes, because they have this imagine of, I'm going to go to the summit and nothing is going to stop me, which is sometimes a very good thing to have, but it can also be a bad thing to have. And I decided, I was with my wife, I was there, and eventually I decided not to go to the summit because not a good feeling, whatever. And then literally the next day, it totally blew, like from one side, it just erupted. So it does bring you back. I was maybe lucky not to go there.
Yeah.
But it does happen every year. Every year it happens to people when they go up to volcanoes, and sometimes they erupt.
Yeah, I mean, so you've been lucky. That's a good thing, and I hope that lucky streak continues for you.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
That's amazing. But so I'm curious, when people listen to different podcast episodes, they meet somebody like you, like, my gosh, you've done so much. You've climbed all these mountains on all these different continents and volcanoes. Like, it sounds so dangerous. How did your sort of adventure spirit get started? Can you kind of take us back to Ricardo in the early years of becoming this ambitious, determined adventurer?
Yeah. So I was always a very active kid, and I had too much energy, my mom would say. And I was always in the outdoors. over here. It's not like in Canada or whatever. I'm from the Netherlands, so we don't have a lot of nature, but still, I was in the bushes. I was creating things on camps, you name it, and I always came back dirty, and I fell a lot of times, always falling and just getting up, and I didn't cry, but just okay, keep going. And I also had a fascination already for exploring. And what I mean with that is that there's one neighborhood where we are, and then sometimes I thought I want to look in the other neighborhood, even when my mom said you're not allowed to go there. But it was the curiosity of going there, and eventually that exploration feeling went further because, well, everybody knows, well, a lot of parents, they will know because of their kids, they know the movie Moana. Yeah. This girl who looks at at the horizon and sees the ocean and thinks what is out there. I also lived near the sea, and I always thought that I wanted to go out on the sea. And then it hit me at a younger age, maybe it was like 12 or something, that I had to start working to go towards the Navy. And then in the Navy, I learned a lot of lessons of perseverance and resilience and all those kind of things, which eventually, after 10 years into the Navy and did, multiple missions everywhere, I went into mountaineering. So it's not, my mom said, I'm not surprised that you would do something like this. You were always a bit different in that way. And what I mean to say with different is that, yes, I had a lot of energy and those kind of things, but I didn't put my energy where a lot of people will put it. So here, for example, football or soccer, how you want to call it, it's very popular. Yes, they put me on soccer and to get rid of all my energy, but it was nothing for me. It was 1 week and I was done. It was done. Yeah. So I was doing something, I wanted to do something else. And I went into a sport, and it was called walking. And,
nice.
I just walked to and that is linked with navigation, exploring, seeing other things. And it were small distances, of course, at that time. But it is already a pillar for what is later now in my life here. And I look back and I see that my journey didn't start 10 years ago for my climbing mountains. My journey started already 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and I really loved the first part of the very first chapter in the book where you kind of talked about your experience in the Navy. And I have to believe that, courage and, bravery and these things that you have to be able to go do these kinds of adventures and to think big the way that you think. I got to believe that a lot of that was nurtured in your time in the Navy. Specifically, I hope you can touch on this just a little bit, because I loved you tell some stories about actually having to deal with pirates when you were out there, and I love that part.
Yeah, so I did 3 times. I did a mission to the Gulf of Aden, and it was mostly in the time period of 2009, 2010, which was the hotspot time for pirates in the neighborhood. What happened was that a lot of navies around the world, they were afraid for the cargo and everything. So they sent a lot of Navy ships towards there. And somehow, what happened was we had rotations with different frigates. And every time when I went, something happened. With other vessels, sometimes nothing happened. And every time when I was there, the most extreme things happened. Shootouts between pirates and us, hijacking of big container ships that we even retook with a helicopter and special forces. We had container ships who were trying to ram us. We had, a lot of stories about captive pirates and those kind of things. And just in the course of a couple of months, every time that happened. And I was not afraid at that time because I was on a frigate, heavily armed frigate. But I did know that it could be dangerous, because I was also in a special team which they kept the captive pirates at bay, and sometimes these pirates were also even aggressive. Even that happened. So I did learn a lot of things over there, and it was also one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, is that I wanted to work in teamwork over there, exploring and just going to the unknown and learning step by step. And my first time when I went to the pirate area, some of my friends were worried about what is going to happen. And then when I went the second time, I was feeling less stressed. And the third time was absolutely good, no problems. And that you are evolving and getting even stronger mentally to do these kind of things.
Hey everyone, it's Scott here. This podcast is a passion project for me because I absolutely love adventure. And it's thanks to the effort of my residential real estate team here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that many of you know as the W Realty Group, that this podcast gets funded. This awesome group of people have unmatched levels of competence and caring for our clients. If you know of anyone looking to buy or sell a home, our team serves the Charlotte, North Carolina market, but we can also help you find an agent anywhere throughout the US or Canada through our highly connected network. When you support our real estate business, you are also supporting this podcast. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your referrals. Yeah, it makes total sense. So, I mean, you're heading into the unknown, and then the unknown becomes more known, and that develops into confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to take those steps, small steps, and eventually then, they become big steps.
Yeah. And then the next thing you know, you've completed the 7 volcanic summits. It's incredible.
You did a million steps.
Yeah. So I would love to, I know this is like, we're just going to very much scratch the surface. And I think if people want to hear more of the journey, I highly recommend A Million Steps on Lava. People can get this on Amazon, but I'd love it if you could just kind of take us through each one of the 7 summits, your experiences there. And I do want to start with Kilimanjaro, and I want to do the quick little lead in, because that was probably for me one of my favorite parts of the book, because you did the same route on Kilimanjaro that I did. So like listening, and it was a very detailed journey of your
Did you recognize what I was writing down? Did you bring it back?
I mean, I was right back there on the trail with you. I remembered all of it. I mean, everything, right to Stella Point, and then, all the way up, because I did the exact same route. And so, yeah, I mean, and even to when you get to Stella Point and you turn around and you see that fire in the horizon where the sun is coming up, it was just, it brought me right back. So, and it's just fun to think like, and I have had some conversations with other people where Kilimanjaro has been sort of a catalyst for like leveling up adventure. And I definitely, that was like, for me at that time, and it still is like one of the biggest adventures I've ever done, but it was certainly like a confidence builder to lead into future things. So thank you for that. I loved hearing that story. It was really fun.
Okay, yeah, so let's jump right into it. So the first one is Kilimanjaro. And when I went there, I went without zero knowledge of, altitude, what is going to do with me. So I was nervous at the time. I knew I was strong. I knew that yes, I could walk long days. I didn't need a porter. Yes, I had a porter, but still I could make those days. That was nothing I was worried about. Yeah, mostly I was worried about that I went again to come back to the unknown. And the unknown was the high altitude.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't know, but Kilimanjaro is a high mountain, almost 6,000 meters.
Yeah.
And if you come there without any knowledge of altitude, unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't make it. They don't make the summit. So it was directly a big jump from -10, because I live at -10.
Right. Below sea level.
Yeah, I live in the original Zealand. So we make a lot of islands and we have dunes protecting us from the sea. And then I started to live on top of the sea. And eventually my curiosity brought me to 6,000 meters. So a very big delta between it, not knowing what will happen to me.
Yeah.
And I do know at one time when I went to 4,000 meters, something like that, I really started to feel the altitude. I started to get slower than my teammates. It was like something was trying to grab me and drag me down, or putting a weight on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And it took a longer time before I got rid of that. But then I understood what altitude could do with you, and you have to respect it, first of all. But I also understood the day after, when we went lower, when I came back to the same point, my body was feeling quite amazing.
Feeling better. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I understood what exactly acclimatization was. And then we started building over the next days, just to go up and down and until the last camp. And then you make your big summit day over there. And at the summit day, I was really nervous. It was my first big summit night, not knowing what to expect. And they gave you a couple of hours to sleep. I don't know what you did, Scott, but
right.
I didn't sleep much that night before I went up. I was just in my bed waiting to, okay, it's another 2 hours. Then we're going to go. And it was something I had been working for a longer time, for I think like 8 months or something before I went there. And I got there, well, really good trained, which resulted that I came to the summit, almost in total pitch darkness. I was there.
Yep.
And only on the way back, I got this beautiful glow, where a lot of people, they have it in the back because they arrive. Yeah, I had it straight in front of me.
It's amazing. So beautiful. Yeah, it was at my back coming up. But yeah, what an awesome experience. Yeah, and it just, man, what a great way to kind of kick off this challenge.
And that eventually started. I went to Nyiragongo, and then the curiosity came, and I wanted to climb a volcano with ice, and I decided to go to Elbrus.
Yep.
And that was my first experience with cold in that way. Really, that kind of biting cold that you have. Even in the peak of summer, you can have this kind of biting cold over there. And to be honest, I was not really prepared for that. I was climbing, well, mostly when I had some deployments in the Caribbean or Somalia, hot areas, and I climbed in Kilimanjaro, I climbed in Congo, but not in these kind of conditions. And it was also my first time when I had to start using mountaineering gear. So I had to start using an ice axe and crampons and walk with a rope team and not knowing how that worked. And it was also my first time when I really understood the dangers of mountaineering, because on the other volcanoes, yes, I saw that people got sick because of the altitude, or they could not make it for different reasons. But when I went to Elbrus, it was my first time when I really understood in the place where I was that it could even take my life.
Yeah.
And that was because just the day before, when I went to a higher part of the mountain, some rocks came down and it killed 2 people.
Wow.
And that was the first time I understood that, do I really want to do this? Is this really something that I'm wanted to continue? Because it can take my life. For sure. Yes, I have to be aware of that. So that was a very big lesson for me when I went to Elbrus. And since then, a little bit from Elbrus onwards, I started to become more mountaineering, because then after that I went to high volcanoes in Ecuador and in Bolivia, you name it. But there was also something else that I really wanted to do, and that was maybe a little bit more extremer. That was climbing a volcano in the winter season. So in the season when it's not the best to do it. And that is how I came to Damavand in Asia.
Yep. Okay.
I came there. And over there, I learned a lot. I learned many things. And one of the things that I learned is that equipment is very important. If you have equipment, you have to use it. And the reason why I say that is that because when I went there, it was a very cloudy day, but sunlight is always above the clouds. It's always there. And somehow the sun rays, it went down on the snow. And when I came back from the summit, my inside of my eye was burned. I got, snowblind.
Yeah.
And that was a really scary moment when I was there. And then I understood that it could not only kill me, it can also harm me in some way. Even in the smallest mistakes can harm you for a time.
So this was a big section in the book, and you've even got some photos of you with the snow blindness. I am curious because it's something that we hear about, but when this develops, what do you do? How do you navigate? Like,
I was quite lucky because I already went to the summit, and it was not a very good day to go to the summit. A lot of people, they turned around, but my guide was quite crazy, and he found a route to go up. I followed him all the time without the glasses. Yeah, I took them off because the inside of my glasses, they were, freezing. So I took the chance to take them off. Big mistake. Came back eventually from going down from the mountain, which was also running because there was a storm coming. And then I made it to the refuge. And that's where I was lucky because my snow blindness, or the after effects of it, started to develop when I was already in my bed.
Thank goodness.
So I was not on the out exposure on the volcano itself. Yeah. I was already back at that place.
Yes.
However, though, the smallest piece of light, it hurted my eyes.
Yeah.
It did so much pain, and unfortunately, I was laying on a different floor than the other people, and there was a storm still going outside. That other people didn't check on me, and I was just there on my bed with my eyes closed for maybe 12 hours or something, just sitting there, could not do anything, could not navigate. And the day after, we had to go down. That was quite a struggle, yes. So with double lenses, double sunglasses over it, and another one, and a big hat.
How long did it take for you to develop like full vision back?
Longer than I expected. So when I could see totally, when I could see colors and those kind of things pretty obviously. So the sharpness was not there at the moment. It's the colors. That was maybe the day after. So it's 27 hours or something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But full recovery, I think it took way longer. Yeah.
That's wild. So let's turn this into a positive and help people listening. What's the takeaway? What's the lesson?
Use your equipment. Even if you think it's not needed, you have to use it. Definitely.
So in this case, it was like tinted glasses.
Yeah, but you have to get the good glasses, of course. Mostly you should get a category 4 glasses, or sometimes it use a category 3. Then with the sight, it's like the sight pods over here. Right. It closes, so no UV light can penetrate your eyes.
That's wild. And this is Iran in the winter.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought I couldn't make it. Even the Iranians, they thought, because of this big storm going on. And then I really thought, wow, I'm not so bad in this mountaineering. Maybe I can do even bigger things. And exactly at that time, I came across a book. Well, this book.
Tell us what it says for listeners, for people that aren't watching.
7 volcanic summits, it says. And it's from a photographer. This guy, he had the chance to make a beautiful book about it, this unique challenge. And he did it in 1 year. He didn't complete it because that was too extreme. But he went to all 7. He went there, made beautiful pictures out of it. And this book I found literally just before I went to Iran. And I saw it somewhere standing in a library, and I saw like, what is that? I never heard of this. And I started to look into the book. And the first thing I saw was Kilimanjaro. Okay. And then I saw Elbrus. And then I saw that Damavand, the one in Asia, was also on the list.
Nice.
And then
you got an idea.
Then I had an idea. And I thought, maybe this is something that I could do. So I started to investigate more. And after that, I found out that there's almost no people who did this, and especially not here from the Netherlands. And then I thought, maybe this is what I should try to conquer. And many years later, that's a lot.
So you were halfway there before you even really realized what you were doing.
Yeah, a lot of people, they ask me, they say, why did it took 10 years for you to do this? First of all, I didn't know it existed. And secondly,
doing it before you knew you were doing it.
Yeah, and secondly, it was a little bit difficult was when I knew it existed, COVID happened. So I was running, starting, doing it, and then knowing what I wanted to do, and exactly the ports just closed. Boom, the world is gonna close, and you cannot go anywhere anymore. So I could not go to my lovely volcanoes for 3 years.
Yeah.
But then I went full gear to the next one. I had to go fast. So in 2022, I went to Oceania and I climbed in Papua New Guinea. As mentioned before, it's different than all the other volcanoes. It's in a tropical environment. It is in a region where people live in total different circumstances. It's not very well known. It's even considered dangerous over there. There's a lot of kidnapping going on, looting, robbing, those kind of things. The women and men, doesn't matter. There are multiple stories of people that I know who went there, who got their passport stolen, multiple people that they wanted to kidnap them, those kind of things. So I was quite, not afraid, but I was curious of what was going to happen with me. My climb, I succeeded, yes. But in my climb, I had different struggles. I had struggles regarding the local people. I had struggles regarding that I should communicate better with my agent over there who arranged everything.
Remember that story in the book.
Yeah, because after a couple of days, I ran out of food. My team, we didn't have enough food for the three of us anymore, for being sufficient.
Yeah.
Which was caused by a communication failure that I thought, people would bring food for me, and they thought I should have brought my own food. And in the middle of the jungle, we found that out, and it was quite difficult to summit it on, not so much energy, and it even became worse that eventually, there was no more food, and we had to make our way back.
Wow. So communication was the lesson in that one. Yeah.
Communication, definitely. Communication was the most important. And the other thing is that cultures, there are way different cultures over there than we have over here. So humans, they interact in way different ways that we don't know.
Love it. Take us to North and South America.
Yeah, so I put on the gear, go rapidly, and I think I used Diloé as an acclimatization to go to Pico de Orizaba. But Pico de Orizaba is a quite unique story because you only hear success stories at the moment. But every mountaineer doesn't only have success stories. So It wasn't my first time when I went to Pico de Orizaba, because when I found out that the volcanic several summits existed, there was still some time before the COVID happened. So I went to Mexico and I tried to climb it because I was working over there to try to climb Pico de Orizaba in 1.5 days. But I was working at the sea, and such a rapid difference had a toll on my body. I was really slow, was not acclimatized at all, and I had to give up. I had to stop, which was unique because before that, all the others went good. Of course, I was going through all the harsh things that can happen to me, but I succeeded. I never had to turn around at the moment. But then 3 years later, or even 4 years later, 2023, I returned. More devoted, more stronger, more. I needed to get this done. But there was also something other unique about this one. And Pico de Orizaba always has a very special connection with me because, first of all, it's the country where my wife is from.
Okay.
And I decided to go to the highest point of our country, which is Pico de Orizaba, brought a ring, made a proposal video.
There you go.
And later that evening, on the day that I summited, I joined again with her, and then I asked her to marry me.
Amazing.
So there's always a small piece of, the story of Pico de Orizaba with me. And that's why it's such a special.
And you were meant to not make it the first time because you needed to come back and have it be even more special.
Because the first time when I went there, I knew my wife only maybe a couple of months.
Yeah.
So we were still trying to figure out if this is going to work and you name it. And then maybe it was better to do it this way.
Totally.
I think of that sometimes. It's maybe better to do it.
It's so good. Yeah.
But then what I did is I used Pico d'Orizaba as another acclimatization. And directly after that, I went to a very, very remote region of the world, which is the Atacama Desert.
Yeah.
In Chile, Argentina, over there. And over there, you can find the highest volcano in the world, which is Ojos del Salado. That is a volcano that is also in my mind often, but not for positive reasons, mostly for negative reasons. Positive because I made it, yes, but negative because of the experience that I had over there. There was lots that happened at that volcano. Well, the small version of the story is that I got separated from the group. Between two groups, I got separated during already a climb that took around, at that moment, I think 21 hours we were in temperatures of minus 28.
Wow.
Snowstorm, blizzard. That was one of the first times I was more afraid in the mountains, because I was at 6,700 meters high, very high up, in an exposed position, not knowing the route, not having anybody, close to me at that time. And I almost had the feeling that the only thing I could do was wait until the sun would come up again.
Wow.
And I could maybe navigate myself. And that loneliness, what I had over there, it did strike me at that moment later. Yeah, because first it feels more like a survival thing.
Right.
And later you understand that also can cause some, mental issues.
Yeah.
More in the form of that I'm not claustrophobic at all or something. But I had, when I came back, when I was staying in a total dark room, something, when I woke up, I just slightly panicked of being like, where am I? I need to find my way out. I need to find this. And that was, I think, 2 months later or something, it brought me back.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's crazy.
It brought me back. And I don't have that anymore. For me, the best recovery for me, myself, was to go back out there and going into the mountains. And that worked. But it was quite a unique climb because it's almost 7,000 meters high. And that is, of course, 1,000 meters higher than all the other candidates on the list. I had been already above 6,000 meters before that. But still, Ojos del Salado is a league on its own.
Yeah.
Of course, you cannot compare it to Everest or to other high volcanoes or mountains, in the world. But at that altitude, yes, that is a different thing.
Yeah, and to be there alone, that sounds frightening.
Yeah. You really, everything is a struggle at that altitude.
Yeah.
It feels like if you are going from one side of this room to the other side, it almost feels that you're walking a marathon every time.
Right.
You try to get oxygen in, but it doesn't feel it's there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave it to the listeners to get the book to find out how that story. Obviously, you're talking to me now, so you made it back down.
I'm here.
We'll let the listeners read the book for the rest of that story. So take us to the last one in Antarctica. Hey everyone, it's Scott here. Did you know that the members of my real estate team, W Realty Group, are listening to their own voices that call to adventure by setting big goals? Some of those goals include planning trips to Bali and the Kingdom of Bhutan, buying investment homes, and running the Chicago Marathon. At W Realty Group, we support and encourage these big goals and want to help turn them into reality. We're currently looking to add new members to the team. If you know a great real estate agent in the Charlotte, North Carolina area that would benefit from being part of our team, please send a text, an email, or give me a call. And know that when you support W Realty Group, you're also supporting this podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, this is, of course, one of the most unique things you can do in this mountaineering challenge. In Antarctica, Mount Sidley is called. It is in a region which is, maybe you know that Antarctica has sometimes countries, they say, this is our part, this is our part, this is this. They all claim it, but it's not recognized. There's a very big region, which is called West Antarctica. And if you see the peninsula of Antarctica, it's just a little bit underneath there.
Okay.
It's the biggest unclaimed territory in the world. So what it means is that you will find almost no research facilities over there, no camps, nothing. When you go there, the first stage when you go there, you go from Punta Arenas, then you go fly in with a normal airline. Yeah, you fly in and you land on the ice, which is already super unique.
Right.
You come into a camp and you are somewhere in the middle of Antarctica, just sudden, and there is a camp for a lot of adventurers. The people, they go climbing Mount Vincent, the highest mountain on Antarctica. They are going to go to the South Pole. They're going to ski. They're going to do all these activities. But I went somewhere where almost nobody goes, and that is Mount Sidley. You have to go in another aircraft. You take this aircraft, and it takes around 3 to 4 hours more. Wow. And then this aircraft flies there, and it goes to a space where normally there's no camp or anything. So the pilots have to just navigate and see where they can land, and they just drop the plane over there, and you're gonna build up a camp. And that was the first time, really, in my life when I came there, when I felt absolutely alone, so isolated. It was so nuts that how far I could look, there was nothing. Absolutely.
How many people were you with on that expedition?
So I was with a couple of, this year, there were multiple teams who could join. Normally they only have this company has very exclusive expeditions. Now other let's say companies that joined. My team only was with two clients and one guide.
Okay.
There was another company was climbing over there. Well, they got hit by a big storm and people even lost their nose because of the cold.
Yeah.
Extreme conditions. They had to be evacuated. They went away. And then that was the moment it really struck me. I was there with one other client and one guide in a radius of 1,000 kilometers. No humans. Nothing.
It's like another planet.
1,000 kilometers around you. I can go this way. I can go that way. I can go there. I will not find anybody. So you're so isolated, and then it really starts to feel like an expedition because you have to survive. This every day is minus 30, minus 40. You have to make your own food. You have to make your own drinking water. You cannot navigate on this mountain as other mountains because, first of all, there is no established route because it depends where the airplane is going to land. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's there, so you don't know. Where on other mountains, you maybe take some risk. You think of, let's take this risk. If something goes wrong, we can call in a helicopter and we will be gone.
Yep.
Over there,
not happening.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing. You're totally on your own.
Yeah.
If somebody gets injured or you name it, if on a bad instance is that if the weather is bad, there is no plane that's going to get you.
Right.
You sign a waiver. If something like that happens, I die. That's it.
Yep, and that's where the naval bravery comes in.
Yeah, but that's my expedition was way longer than expected.
Yeah.
Well, it cost a lot of money to go there. I took every moment of it. Yeah, to get there. It took me more than 2 weeks to complete this volcano.
Congratulations. It's an amazing accomplishment that you've done. And I mean, I could talk to you for hours. we could keep going, but I hope people will get a copy of the book to find out more and follow you on this journey. It's so inspiring. And I want to ask you, like, this little boy that grew up in Netherlands, just going out playing and getting dirty and, and then following your life into the Navy and then taking on this big journey, as you kind of look back over your life up to this point, like, are you surprised? Did you think when you were a little kid that you were going to be at this point, having like gone all over the world and climbed some of these giant volcanoes?
No, I didn't think it would be. I did think I would do some of it, some exploration, but I never could have dreamed that it went into this kind of, extreme levels. And that is just, it's life. It gives you opportunities, and I took them. I had to do a lot of things for it. Of course, I had to save money. I had to train. I had to leave other things for it. But mountaineering gave me so much that I'm, going to continue doing it.
Yeah. Do you have any advice that you could give to people listening that are hearing your story and thinking, oh gosh, I could never do that?
Yeah, well, in mountaineering, they always say, and it's a little bit repetitive what we said before, but in mountaineering, we always say when things get really tough, yes, you should not take a look at the full picture. You should take it in small steps. I'm not saying a million steps. I'm not saying that, but I also do it. When I'm in a tough time, sometimes I only tell myself, go towards that rock. Make it to the rock. We will see if we're going to make it to the rock. And what I mean to say with that is that your passion and what your capabilities are, you don't have to directly look at the very big, high picture. First, make it to the first rock. See if you can do that. Then just go further and further and further. Maybe sometimes you have to turn around. You have to get stronger, come back. But it doesn't mean directly that is your end point. But what I see lately happening is that a lot of people have very big dreams. It's not bad to have big dreams. That is not what I'm saying. But they think they can directly, from no position of knowledge or anything, they can go directly towards the end point. It's a very long journey. And same as me, when I look back at my 10-year-old journey, I don't want it to be in 2 years, to be honest. No. I'm happy that it was 10 years. I can look back at it.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Yes. Just embrace the journey. Embrace the pain, embrace the failure, embrace, the achievements, the joy that you have.
Yeah.
And this is only by mountaineering, but it can be for any sport or any hobby, or when you want to make a company or anything. Just make these very small mitigated steps, and eventually, something very great can come from it.
So it's 1,000,000 steps on lava, but each step is one at a time.
Yes. Don't go directly 1 million.
Love it. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yeah, of course. So I wrote the book, and I have to give a big of a shout out to my wife, because like these conversations that we have here, I was always telling my stories to people, and they were amazed by it. What is going on with this guy? And my wife said, yeah, you know what? You need to stop saying these kind of stories in this kind of conversations. You just start writing. So I started writing 2 years ago, and that was totally still when I was on my way of trying to complete this challenge. And I had to dive very deep. You said already it's very detailed in Kilimanjaro. Right. That took time to do that. But how I wrote the book eventually, when I caught up with all my expeditions, is that when I came back, directly I devoted my time to write it down. So it's still vivid in my mind. I can write everything in detail. And after that, I had the book already ready for 90% in December. And then I went to Antarctica, finished it, and I published it in Dutch and now also in English.
Amazing.
It's quite a big book. You read it. It's not a small book. A lot of things come back what we have discussed over here. And it's available on Amazon, and it is shipped worldwide.
Yep. I got mine in just a couple of days when I ordered it. So yeah, highly recommend. 1,000,000 Steps on Lava, and a great book. I hope people will get a copy. Listen, I mean, you're just getting started. You've spent your time in the Navy. You've now completed the 7 volcanic summits. I can't even imagine what's next for you.
Yeah, I do have already a new challenge. I don't know if you want to learn more about it. It's something that I came up with. So like we can go trace back a little bit. So when people decided to bring this into life,
the 7 volcanic summits.
People didn't know it existed. So I started to check what kind of other mountain challenges can we think of. Yes, because am I going to hop back on the train that everybody does and going to do the 7 summits? That doesn't mean that I eventually are going to do it, but my love is still at the volcanoes at the moment. I decided to do a challenge, and I call it the Volcanic Grand Slam. That is the name.
I like it.
And what it exactly is that I'm going to climb 25 volcanoes around the world. And I'm going to climb not the 25 highest volcanoes in the world, because that's going to bring you mostly only in South America, in a very small region where all these big ones are standing. I want to explore diversity. And therefore, I came up with the challenge that it is not highest, but it is linked on country borders. So I'm going to climb 25 volcanoes who are country high points, volcanic country high points.
Yep.
And if you take a look at the challenge, it has never been done by anybody. It has some reasons why it's not been done. It's a collective of adventures. First of all, some of them are part. The Volcanic 7 Summits is part of that, of course. So some of them you can strike off. But there are very high, big volcanoes in there. Some of them are way above 6,000 meters. We have, for example, volcanoes in Alaska, one in the USA, where you have to go and be dropped with a helicopter or with a flight, and you have to langlauf or ski up, and you name it. Also something new for me. I'm a snowboarder, so skiing is something new. I also like it. Another example is climbing volcanoes that have not been climbed by many people. For example, in Colombia, there is one volcano over there. The central peak of Huila is almost not discovered. Another extraordinary thing is going to the heart of the Sahara, where you have to go. I have to take a dromedary, like a camel. I have to walk with it for 6 days into the hotness of the Sahara, find a spot, then climb this volcano, and then make my way back again. Totally unique. And other volcanoes on the list, mythological peaks in Sumatra, where tigers are still over there, active volcanoes, and all that together, I think, is a perfect package for adventure and exploration.
It's amazing. It's just an extension of the story that you've already created, and I can't wait to follow. And we're going to have another episode in a few years when we've achieved more of the Grand Slam. It's pretty awesome. So I guess what I want to know is, when Hollywood makes this movie about your life and everything you've accomplished and everything that's in the future, who's going to be the Hollywood actor that's going to play you in this movie?
I don't know if he's a Hollywood actor. He's more a stuntman who became famous. I have a beard, I have hair, but when I was younger, I used to shave my head, really short hair, didn't have a beard at all. Yeah, people always said that I look like Steve-O. So
Steve-O, all right. I love it. All right, so Steve-O's going to play you. And what's your movie going to be called?
Yeah, let's call it 100 Mistakes, One Goal.
Wow.
Mountaineering, it is by falling down and getting up again, but continuing. So, and I made many mistakes in my mountaineering. I learned from them, and still kept going and got my goal.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thank you so much for sharing this story. I mean, I feel like we just scratched the surface. People need to get a copy of your book, A Million Steps on Lava. And I just really appreciate the time that you spent with me today. And for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope Ricardo's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or just need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thanks for listening. Ricardo, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.